down to commissioner comments, and I've got a little bit written. I was debating whether I'd get into it tonight or not, but I think got mostly a friendly audience, so maybe it's a good time to bring it up. But what really is brought it to my attention more, somebody asked me just before this started, what is the cost to the county of the issues we've been having with open records and the people really creating a little bit of a hassle for us at the commissioner's office. And I said, I don't really know, but I said, I've got some notes tonight on some of the issues we've been dealing with this week. And on the one hand, I don't want the folks to say, you know, we're picking on them because I'm the mean old commissioner and picking on this little group of folks. But at the same time, this group called ACOG has made themselves a public figure and has done everything they can do to make life miserable for not only the people in my office but the county. And I just wanted to go over these things that we're just dealing with this last week. Today, in fact, we had a hearing here in this courtroom with a magistrate judge from not sure what county. Judge Garman had to recuse himself because of a conflict. But Curtis Richardson, who is one of the members of ACOG, sued our road department road grader, the guy who runs the grading equipment, and he went to the magistrate court to get a warrant for his arrest for trespassing on his property, which is the road that the county maintains in front of this guy's house. This particular gentleman has been to several meetings before. He's videoed a lot here in the past. He's got on the internet with all kind of rantings about different things, and he basically, because his property line goes to the center line of his road, he declares that that's his road and the county can't be working on it. So the commissioner prior to me worked on it from 99 to 2001, and then I've worked on it from 2001 through now. And when I say worked on it, they grade it twice a year. They put gravel on it each year. They've had a lot of work orders through the years. He declares, and still to this day says, that nobody touched it till 2004. But anyway, the last 2 years, every time we go out there to grade, we've had to send a deputy along with the grader, because sometimes he'll stand in front of the grader, sometimes he'll just stand on the bank cursing the grader, and I think he gets my name in there a pretty good bit too while he's doing it. But anyway, he sued, or went to get a warrant for the arrest, not on the county or not anything on the county, but on the guy who runs the motor grader, which is at our discretion, is sent out there to grade and maintain that road. And so our attorney came from Cartersville, spent 3 hours here. I guess they were in court here about 2 hours. They had an attorney, and of course, he served as our attorney, and I didn't come into the proceeding. But we had a road superintendent and a gentleman on the motor grader. And then the judge said that he would let us know something tomorrow, and I think about 3 o'clock today he sent us a notice that he had dropped it. He didn't call it a frivolous, but he just said it was dropped, so, which means it was frivolous. But it's just another one of those things. Now I'm going to give you 3 things, and all 3 of these people are 3 of the filers and the principals of ACOG. The second one, last week, Sonny Boyer filed in the magistrate court on the county for our roadside mower mowing his flowers down along the edge of the road. Not going to make any comments about that because it hasn't yet come to magistrate court. And then, as you've seen some of the information in the newspaper over the last 2 or 3 weeks with this deal with George Anderson, I went to court this last week in Rome, Georgia, with George Anderson, who Linda Pittman was suing. Linda Pittman is the leader of ACOG, or appears to be the leader of ACOG. Her and her group of Curtis Richardson and Sonny Boyer hired George Anderson, who is considered to be the state gadfly, and that means that anybody that's got ethics complaint, he's filing on people all over the state of Georgia for years. He's the guy that if you're even thinking about doing something wrong, he's out there filing papers on you with the State Ethics Commission. Mayor Bill Campbell in Atlanta, he was largely responsible for his being caught. He's currently got an ethics complaint against Governor Deal. He's had them against numerous legislators and may have one or two pending now. So this ACOG group got him to come investigate me. And so over the period of time, they paid him his travel, I guess, and expenses. Over a period of a few months, they paid him $2,400. Well, in the end, and I spent 7.5 hours with him the first day he came up here. And they had a book of over 80 accusations of things that they said I'd done that were illegal and unethical. And when he came up and we spent the time together, and then he came back a second time and spent 2.5, 3 hours with me. So after he did that, and when he came into my office, he said, I've never met a public official like you. He said, you've completely opened up your office. You've offered to give us anything we wanted. You've answered all my questions. And so in the end, he couldn't find anything to file an ethics complaint on against me. So he tells this group, after a long time of back and forth, that he can't find anything to file. He's not going to file a complaint. So they sued him in Rome, Georgia, where he lives, because he wouldn't file an ethics complaint against me, and they paid him $2,400. So I went to court with Mr. Anderson. I'm probably the first public official in the history of Georgia that actually went in support of Mr. Anderson in a court case. As it turned out, I did not have to testify, but I went there fully prepared to testify and fully prepared to let Linda Pittman and her attorney, if she had one, question me unlimited, knowing that that was one of the issues. But in the end, that too the judge threw out. So all of these things, and these are the three principles of the same group that's on the internet, and you know, I'm sure they're going to continue. But I just I was going over that tonight, and I thought, well, the public needs to know what's going on. And so this public is now informed, and we'll see whatever happens on that. So it's frustrating for us, but I don't expect it to stop. And according to open records law, state of Georgia, we got a new one today from Linda Pittman, and we got another one ready that we had in the list waiting on her. So we contacted her today and told her we had a new one ready. One ready, and then she gave us a new one. Have we got another one or two?
We've got two others that we're...
Two more pending that
yeah.
It's going to take us several hours, take staff several hours to get one of them, because we got to go back and dig out records from the old courthouse. And personally, I feel like it's just harassment. It's, despise me, and I don't know, I just have a way of making people happy. But after I've said that, I'm going to get the questions in a minute. I also wanted, my wife's going to tell me, what you say all that stuff when you get home. I know she's going to get on me. But in the hearing in Rome, Georgia, at the magistrate court in Rome, Georgia, I just wanted to read you a couple of things. If you're a 501c3 corporation, you can't be representing yourself. You have to be represented by counsel. So Mr. Anderson complained to the judge that Linda Pittman was being represented by who she claims to be her brother, who she claims was a paralegal, not an attorney. And the judge questioned that, but then this guy, Mr. Latana, who is, I think that's his name, he got up and this is public record, so he got up and he said, when the judge was questioning about him representing her, he said, Mrs. Pittman suffers. Here's medical papers from her doctor. She suffers from memory loss. She's not able to stand a long time, and she has problem with speech. which is why I'd like to kind of speak for her today. Now, this is a lady that comes in our office on a fairly regular basis, walks in there on her own power, is meaner than a snake on her own power, and we have not seen any evidence. The memory loss, I could go along with it. And then further down in the court case, he says, she had sued, now here's the other thing, she had sued for the $2,400. He countersued for some more money that he thought they should have paid him. And then she countersued him the second time for defamation of character because of the letters he put in the North Georgia News against her. So the judge says, I don't know what all the hoops are, but I can tell you I do not have jurisdiction of this. I'm going to dismiss the slander claim. And then finally, the judge says, okay, the procedure is as follows, and I hope you all can certainly enlighten me because your pleadings have got me thoroughly confused. I've only practiced law for 36 years. I've been here for about 2 at this court, and that's the most convoluted, confusing pleadings I think I've ever seen in a case. Of course, you're not an attorney, so I'll take that into consideration. Mr. Latana says, thank you. And then finally, I said there was about 80 complaints, or maybe more than that they claim that they've got on me. And I want to just read over just one of these. I mean, I've got files of them back there, but I want to just read this one, and I'm glad Mitch is here because this pertains to the Union County Development Authority, and it shows you kind of what their thought process is and how they try to relate me to anything that they possibly can in Union County. Now, this is her note to George Anderson when they hired him to follow up on this stuff with me. George, I hope you will have a complete and speedy recovery. He'd evidently have a little illness. The Applewood building, and so y'all know the Applewood building is that big 115,000 square foot building out in the industrial park. To summarize that, we had a company came in and through the Development Authority built the building. The Development Authority financed it or worked on financing through economic development bonds, which means the Development Authority theoretically owns the building, but the owners pay the Development Authority those payments, and at the end of, I guess it was a 20-year bond or 30-year bond, then the property owner owns the building. This is done in every industrial development park in the state of Georgia. It's set up with the state. It's just a normal procedure for how those are done. It's called the Applewood building. So here she starts. The Applewood building is something I knew was dirty. In fact, I had sent it to the FBI to be checked out. I finally put the pieces together this evening. This is a letter she sent in to him. A Union County Development Authority financial report from December 31st, 2006 showed the Applewood building was $3.8 million. The county shows the value at $1.8 million. I don't have any idea what that, the county tax assessor's office, I have no idea what they assess it at. Whatever it is, it has no bearing on anything. In 1989, now this is 89, 99, 109, 10, 11, 22 years ago, Lamar Paris started a corporation called Lance Properties. Actually, it was 8 of us. I was only one of 8 people. And we bought a property in 1989 and developed it down close to Murphy, North Carolina, the county line. And we developed that property, and it's called Lance Property because the Lance family owned that property. And so today it's still called Lance Crossing as you drive by there. So in 1989, I started a corporation called Lance Properties. Are y'all bored yet?
No.
Okay. On October the 31st, 2001, now that was 89, so October 31st of 2001, Lamar Paris gives permission to a company in Blue Ridge, Georgia, to use the company name. And what happened back in 2001, the Secretary of State's office said somebody's file would like to be, their name would like to be Lance Properties of Fannin County. And since our corporation was close to that, they called and asked, and we were long since in the funk and hadn't used the corporation. And so I told them, fine, we'd release the name. So I give permission. The name was given to Lance family in Fannin County, whom I know of, but other than that, I have no dealings whatsoever with them. The Union County Development Authority is telling me in an open records request that Applewood building is under private ownership. Well, it is private. A private company owns it, theoretically, but the Development Authority, as I told you earlier, actually owns the building, and it's leased by the individual. The note for the Applewood building is $6 million, and we don't know where that came from. Talked to Mitch. We don't know where she got that from, but this is all put together by W.C. Nelson, who is not even on the Development Authority any longer, is an ex officio member, but is not a voting member and not active in any of the processes of the Development Authority. The UCDA had a tax-exempt industrial development revenue bonds, which is true. That's what I told you about. That's how the building was financed. I don't understand, but a lot of these documents were signed on December the 1st, 2005, which was, they were signed that day because that's when they closed on the deal. If you look at Lamar Paris's Lance Property, Inc., he dissolves the corporation on December the 2nd, 2005, the day after the signing of the paperwork. So the Secretary of State has told us to dissolve the corporation. We dissolve it, and it gets filed just coincidentally a day before or after Applewood building deal closes. You have the UCDA taking a bid for Painter Construction Company and awarded them a bid of $1.3 million in November the 29th, 2000. Now, that was about 4 days after I was elected commissioner, but about a month and a half before I took office. And the Development Authority at that time had let a bid to grade the pads, some of the pads out of the industrial development part. And the guy that ended up owning the Lance building, the Applewood building, his name just happens to be Lamar. He was Lamar Lance. So you got Lamar Paris and Lamar Lance. So we're kin because our first name is the same. Then she says, Painter Construction got the bid. Then she says, there is no Painter Construction Company that I could find, but there is a Painter Properties, LLC. Now, I don't know who Painter Construction is. I don't know who Painter Property is. Look at the Applewood Doors and Windows Corporation. Look who signs the paperwork. Angela Painter, who happens to be an attorney in Fannin County. So an attorney always signs a paper for a corporation. So it's Angela Painter. This corporation starts up on October of 2001. Just about through. There is no Painter Construction Company, but there is a Lance Grading and Construction Company in Fannin County. This is her. John Tucker, whoever the hell he was the agent that put the Lance Grading and Construction Incorporated and the Lance Property Incorporated documents all together. Well, he's another attorney in Blue Ridge that handled that for him, apparently. Everyone, in bold letters and all capitalized, everyone in this county feels the Union County Development Authority was put together to help rip off the county of money. This all looks like something really fishy and stinks to high heavens. You are the expert, am I right? This would be so big. How do they get $6 million for a $3.8 million building, which could also be a lie? By the way, business was not in business very long. So, and then she summarizes it. 1989, we had the corporation. Applewood had it in 2001, Lance Properties 2001, Development Authority 2005, Lance Property 2005. So I just tell you all of that. That's just the crap that I have to put up with and spend so much time with these people that are so convinced. And the sad part is they are really convinced. I don't think they're lying, But they really think that the development authority and Mitch and me, or we're just all a bunch of crooks, and we're just stealing the county crazy. And they'll go to any length to try to tie stuff together. And that's why I wanted to read all that to you, because when I got a copy of that from Mr. Anderson, I thought, I knew these people were weird. I said, how in the world could they ever do that? So,
Did he get a clue when you read that complaint that there was something?
I think he got a lot of clues apparently along the way. Anyway, the meeting is adjourned, and I'll now open it up to questions and answers. Cut that off. Yes, sir.